Yo, what's going on everybody? I'm your boy Numbskull here, back again, this time with a personal story time I want to share with you all. Before we begin, I want to ask those that are seeing this on TikTok if you like the ambience I've been adding to the background of my videos when I cross-post. The videos I've did so on appear to be performing extremely well compared to the others. Anywho, I'm going to tell you all the tale of my last visit to the chiropractor on Gabapentin. I've been wanting to make this particular video for a while, and I really do hope you all enjoy. Let's get into it. So, I go to the chiropractor once a month, usually around 2:45 p.m. for a nice back adjustment and therapy, and every single time I go, I stagger dose gabapentin throughout the morning leading up to the appointment. This particular story I'm going to tell you was the most recent of these ventures, and actually just took place a day or two ago, depending on when I get this video posted. I figured why not tell you guys the one that's the freshest on my mind so I remember as many details as possible. I woke up with a smile on my face the morning of this story at my usual time of 7 a.m. As I said, I always do this, so I had been getting more and more impatient and excited leading up to this day. I'm very careful with my tolerance to everything these days, and I enjoy many GABA-oriented substances, so I try to only take gabapentin on these days if I can stand it. Contrary to what its name would have you believe, however, gabapentin doesn't actually act directly on your GABA receptors. It affects your calcium channels. But there has been a relevant amount of cross-tolerance reported, especially anecdotally, and I've experienced this a bit myself, so I take it into account. I got out of bed and went into the kitchen to get a glass of tea. This is what I take my morning kratom doses with, and that's exactly what I did. 5 grams of green Mang Da straight down the throat. When I finished swallowing the last 2 capsules, I climbed back into bed for a couple hours and watched some YouTube videos as I usually do. Gotta let it kick in and whatnot and feel it for a while. Really prepare for the day the right way. You know what I mean. After this time, I took a shit and played a little bit of Easy Red 2 to pass the time until 10:30. It finally arrived. Exactly 5 hours until the time I estimated to be home and settled in for my appointment. I time it this way because I need about 3 hours for dosing, and it takes about 2 hours to really kick in good. So, for the next 3 hours, I dosed one 300 milligram capsule of gabapentin every 30 minutes with orange Fanta. Orange Fanta has no caffeine and is carbonated, and this is a very good thing for this particular substance. At the first and 4th capsules, I also took 250 milligrams of naproxen along with it, as this helps with bioavailability, as a sort of potentiator. At these times, I also ate a spoonful of peanut butter for the fat content, as gabapentin binds very well to lipids. This is my method for catching that elusive gabapentin relief. I know a lot of people underestimate this substance, as many people find it impossible to get the effects they're looking for. Well, let me be the one to tell you, this is one of the most underrated drugs on the face of the earth, at least in my opinion, and not all too hard to get a script for. If you follow the steps I took, you will get high. I promise you. Now, I'm of course not telling you to go abuse a prescription medication, as that would land me in legal trouble and probably lead to YouTube and TikTok removing the video. I can tell you, however, that my method works, and if you, of your own accord, decide to follow in my footsteps, you will feel something. Anyways, after I finished dosing, totaling 2100 milligrams, it was a bit over an hour until I had to be at my appointment. I had things I had to do before as well, so I got ready and we hit the road. I went to the dispensary to re-up on weed and took my girl by the drive-through liquor store present in my town. She wanted to be fucked up too later, as she always does. One of the many reasons I love her so much is that she loves drugs and experimentation almost as much as I do. We finally got over to my appointment at about 2:40, so I chilled in the car for a minute and hit her vape. When I finally went in, she stayed in the car. She usually goes in with me, but she actually had a friend along with us this time, and she was present in the car as well. They only allow up to one other person to come into the back with you, I assume because it's so compact back there, and they didn't want to sit in the lobby. I walked in and straight through the door to the back without really stopping at the front desk. The lady who works at it knows me and always has me good to go as soon as I walk in. I sat in the second waiting room in the back for less than a minute before I was greeted by a newer employee I had never encountered before. She was a nice girl, and took me quickly to my roller table room after a quick "how are you?" She asked me my pain level today, and I responded with a 5. She then asked me if I wanted to be hooked up to the TENS unit, and I said absolutely. She got me all ready, brought me a knee pillow, and fixed my neck pillow. She asked me if I was all good, and I said yes and thanked her. Then she left me to my thoughts. After about 5 minutes, however, one of the electrode pads started to slip a bit, probably from sweat. Now, if you've never had this happen, let me tell you, that shit hurts. I yelled for her and told her, and she quickly turned off the machine, fixed it, and turned it back on before leaving me once again. As I lay there with my eyes closed, absorbing the amazing feeling that is a TENS unit, roller table, and Gabapentin, I began to see very faint green circles behind my eyelids. I proceeded to watch these faint circles of color dance in slow rotations for what felt like forever, but was really only about 15 to 20 minutes. After this time had elapsed, the table and TENS unit shut off, and the buzzer sounded letting the assistant know that my initial therapy was finished. The girl came back and released me from the electrodes before showing me across the hall to the main massage room like usual. She raised the table, I stepped up and laid against it, and then she began what would go on to be the best back massage I've ever gotten to date. I swear, whatever she was doing, it was better than anyone else had ever done for me. Eventually, the main chiropractor entered the room and dismissed the girl, but not before I made sure to thank her and let him know how I felt about his new employee's performance before she left the room. I do hope she gets some kind of appreciation for her efforts. He then did the adjustments as usual, and with every crack I could feel the endorphins flooding the area. It felt absolutely phenomenal. After he finished up, I checked out and made an appointment in 30 days with the front desk lady like I always do. She wished me well and a happy rest of my day, and I was on my way. I returned to the car to see my girlfriend in the driver's seat. She always drives us home from my appointments, as she's aware I time my Gabapentin to really start hitting hard around the time that they're over. And she hadn't started drinking yet, for this reason exactly. So, that's exactly what she did. We eventually pulled into the driveway, and I stumbled out of the car and into the house. My motor coordination was completely fucked by this point, and it felt fantastic. I immediately grabbed a can of orange Fanta and headed straight to the room to dose 5.5 grams of a green strain of kratom. After I had gotten the last gram swallowed, I climbed into bed and propped myself up on some pillows. I then proceeded to play a couple songs from my TV using my Xbox, and afterwards put on Rackstope Presidents on YouTube to watch as my kratom came on. After about 45 minutes, I felt the second layer of a slightly different kind of euphoria layer into that of the Gabapentin. It was now time to smoke. I prepared a bowl of weed, and me, my girlfriend, and her friend proceeded to get baked. After a couple bowls, I could feel yet another third layer of euphoria and relaxation coming on. I was really enjoying the feeling of all three substances coming together in a sort of dreamlike haze of contentment and pleasure. Needless to say, it felt wonderful. After the smoke sesh, it was already about 5 p.m., the time I usually take my third and final kratom dose of the day. So, that's of course exactly what I did. This time I swallowed 6 grams of a red strain, as I always do for the evening dose. I then proceeded to go through a second round of the aforementioned routine, only feeling even more euphoria than last time. I was happy, I was at peace, and I stayed exactly this way for the next few hours until I finally felt myself starting to drop off slightly. A while after that, I could only feel the Gabapentin's long legs remain, so I prepared a meal to eat, did so, and got ready for bed. Before I drifted gently and quickly off into a deep sleep, however, I remembered thinking to myself, today was a good day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the end of the story. I really hope you all enjoyed listening. Storytime videos are always one of my favorite type to make, as I love sharing my personal experiences with these substances with you all as much as I love teaching you about them. If you all did, maybe like, subscribe, and consider commenting so I know I'm doing a good job, or if I'm not, so I know how to improve. And don't forget those post notifications if you don't want to miss what lay ahead. I've got tons of great video ideas planned, and I can't wait to get them out there to you all. And with that, I'm going to go have some kratom and weed, and I will of course see you all in the next one. Peace!